The final boss, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, has gotten himself into more trouble with the Hollywood crowd, this time for allegedly repeatedly showing up late to the set of his new Amazon Prime movie, Red One, some kind of Santa Claus action hero gimmick. I'm not entirely sure. But the allegations are that he was showing up so late, up to 8 hours at one point, that it has cost the budget to balloon up to closer to a Hollywood blockbuster budget than an Amazon Prime budget. And this comes to us courtesy of The Wrap, which is a Hollywood dirt sheet website. I did try to pull the article to go over the article itself here with you guys, but it is a pay-to-play article, just like many of the wrestling dirt sheet websites. Here's your little breadcrumb tidbit to get you to hook you in and bring you in, but you got to actually pay for the meat and potatoes of the story. So for more information on this story, I went to my favorite Hollywood dirt sheet YouTuber, just like we do here in the wrestling community. This guy does it over on the movie side, a man by the name of John Campea, and here's what he had to say about this story, given the finer details coming out of The Wrap about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
It says this. For more than 2 decades, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has nurtured a reputation as a hard-working, muscle-bound action comedy movie star with considerable box office drawing power. But Red One, a high-powered Christmas crowd pleaser for Amazon MGM, which is going to be a theatrically released film, has turned into a massive budgetary misadventure, casting Johnson's fame and work ethic in a different light. Production issues ranging from Johnson's chronic lateness and a lack of professionalism on set to producers' inexperience caused the cost of the movie, co-starring Chris Evans and J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus, to spiral upward to a final budget of over $250 million, a sum more befitting of a superhero tentpole. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting. According to more than a dozen insiders directly involved in the project, insiders told The Wrap that Johnson showed up as much as 8 hours late to set on the movie, forcing the crew to shoot around him on some days. On previous films, Johnson has made a habit of peeing in a water bottle to save time and upsetting crew members. I have heard that before. It's because he's so dedicated to keeping everything on schedule that he doesn't want to waste people's time by running to the bathroom and coming back. At least that's how it's always been presented. It was a fucking disaster, said one insider. On days when Johnson didn't show up at all, the production crew was forced to just shoot around him, the insider said. Dwayne truly doesn't give an F, one insider said bluntly. In response to questions from The Wrap, 2 sources close to production and one close to $7 all insisted that Johnson's averaged no more than being 1 hour late on Red One set. In a statement to The Wrap, a spokesperson for Amazon MGM denied there were any on-set issues with Red One or delays caused by Johnson's lateness or $7 inexperience which caused the film to balloon. This is what Amazon had to say officially about these allegations. Dwayne Johnson and $7 have been incredible partners on Red One. Any reporting, says Amazon, that implies that we got to this point with him showing up 7 to 8 hours late is both ridiculous and false.
Now, the report did not cite its sources. So these are anonymous sources from the set of Red One that are reporting this to The Wrap, leaking this information to the dirt sheets, if you will. And they will not go on record, which is causing a lot of people to just go, it's probably a hit piece, some kind of burial. Somebody's just got a beef with Dwayne. They're just trying to knock him down a notch or ruin his image or whatever the fuck. In fact, I watched Fightful's coverage of this on the Hump yesterday or a couple days ago as I record this. And that was their take on it as Jon Alba took over for Sean Ross Sapp along with Jimmy Van. And they were speculating that this is just a hit piece because it's Dwayne. Come on, man.
There was a big report about The Rock this week on the Hollywood front.
It seems over the last year or so, all he gets is negative press. So this article in thewrap.com is from a writer named Umberto Gonzalez. I call it a hit piece. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, I think hit piece is definitely the right term. Now, that's not to say that a lot of this stuff couldn't be true. It very well could be true.
Thewrap.com look at The Rock, the most followed American male on social media. Negative content always gets more attention than positive content. And for The Rat, page views, clicks, follows mean everything to them. They have a paid subscription service too. So I feel like this piece was done to get attention. And it was done for the views and the follows and all that kind of stuff. All of their sources were anonymous. They did not name one source.
I was just going to say the people who were on the record in the piece all disputed it.
And look, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. That very well could be the case. That kind of shit happens all the time. In fact, my Hollywood YouTuber insider John Campea that we played earlier, he thought the same thing. He's very outspoken, unabashed Dwayne The Rock Johnson fan. He loves him. He puts him over every chance that he gets, says he's one of his favorite actors. So he didn't believe it either. So what did he do? He reached out to one of his buddies in Hollywood because he's connected. He's been in movies and shit. He knows a few people, right? John Campea. So he reached out to a buddy that worked with The Rock on the set of the show Ballers. And though he did not name this person did, in fact, confirm that The Rock was a fucking headache on set and screwed them over. Check out this clip.
Listen, to me, this sounds like nonsense. I'm reading this morning, and I'm like, none of this jives with what I've heard about Dwayne Johnson's on-set behavior before. And so maybe you think, okay, well, maybe this did happen here, but maybe this is just a bad time for The Rock. The Rock's also doing WWE stuff. Maybe he's got other things. But apparently, this has been going on with some other films as well. Oh yeah, when talking about Ballers, Johnson's tardiness has been an issue for a number of years. They rent a location. They can shoot as much as they can of other actors while they wait for him to decide if he's going to come to set. A producer who visited the set of HBO's Ballers told The Wrap. A former production assistant on the show collaborated this, saying he was regularly 3 to 4 hours late to set, keeping 100 plus crew members waiting for no reason, according to a third insider. This is where I'm going to tell you a little personal story. Remember that movie Rampage he did about the video game?
Mm-hmm.
On the set of 2018's Rampage, Johnson was late an average of 45 hours daily, with one co-star keeping records of his tardiness, according to two insiders. I happen to be friends with a very high-up person who was involved in the making of Rampage. And I reached out to them this morning, and I said, hey, they're saying, did you see the story in The Wrap? They're saying Dwayne Johnson was always late for work on Rampage. And they wrote back to me, it's bullshit. And I misunderstood what he meant by bullshit, because bullshit wasn't the story. He's referring to Dwayne Johnson's behavior as bullshit. And I'm going to bring it up here, not on screen, but I'm going to bring it up here. I said, oh, so you're saying that the story's actually true. He said this, my friend said this, Dwayne Johnson completely fucked us in the production of Rampage. He says, he does this all the time. Don't get me wrong. He's as nice as his public perception pretends he is. He is really that nice of a guy, but he is always late. And I think everybody in the industry is now tired of his bullshit.
So there you have two different sources, both anonymous, by the way. So take that how you want to take it, right? But from two different projects, a movie and a TV show with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, saying the same thing, that he doesn't have the respect for people's time on set. People love Rock. They say he's a nice guy. Nobody's ever criticized him. Nobody's ever said he's being a dickhead or an egomaniac or anything like that. But he shows up late. And I know we don't want to think the worst of our hero, the final boss. But when you think about it, you can kind of, like, the way he has done things in the wrestling business, we can kind of see that Rock would do something like this, can't we? Just look at all the reports of how The Rock eats up other people's time in WWE. And he goes out there, and this is before he was even Hollywood Rock, right? Back when him and Mick Foley did This Is Your Life and shit. The Rock has a reputation of eating up other people's time. He doesn't have respect for other, and you know, there's people will say in the wrestling business, well, if you make it good, then who cares? You know what I mean? If people remember this is your life, Rock. So it's like, it's a famous skit. So they were allowed to go over. Okay, maybe once in a while. But this is something that The Rock has continuously done. He doesn't really feel bad about it. He doesn't take other people into consideration. But, look, he's a busy guy. He's got a lot of things going on, media stuff, that sort of thing. So, maybe The Rock's time is more important than everybody else, right? Maybe it's okay that the movie budget keeps inflating because they have to pay people extra days to stand around and do nothing because they weren't able to get done what they needed to get done, what they had scheduled on the day to get done, because The Rock just decided he didn't want to be there at that time. Well, when The Rock first went to Hollywood, he had a fantastic reputation. People loved him in Hollywood. He was so easy to work with, is what everybody said, that it opened the door for other wrestlers to get their foot into Hollywood, like John Cena and Dave Bautista, and probably many more to come, I would imagine. The Rock did that because people love work. He has an exceptional reputation in Hollywood, or at least he did. Somewhere along the point, The Rock got to be a little bit too big for his britches. How did that happen? I don't know. Was it when he finally got to the point where he was being labeled the highest paid actor in Hollywood, where he was recognized as the most famous celebrity of all time, like the most recognizable face throughout the entire world, the most followed guy on Twitter? Did it all go to The Rock's head? It was right around the time that he started doing the Black Adam thing. Black Adam, if you guys recall, was a superhero movie under the DC movie studios. DC does, the DC comics, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, all of that shit is under DC. And so is Black Adam, which was really kind of an obscure character who plays a villain to a superhero by the name of Shazam. That used to be Captain Marvel, and now it's Shazam. It's a whole nother thing. Not Captain Marvel, the chick, but Shazam. And Shazam had a movie already, which was actually quite good, and it was fun. It was exciting. It wasn't great, but it was a fun little movie to watch with kids and shit, right? Well, it was a fun little movie, but it wasn't Superman or Batman, right? It wasn't this big, extraordinary adventure. So it wasn't going to do $1 billion at the box office, right? It wasn't going to make... Shazam wasn't going to be a household name superhero. And The Rock, who had previously signed up to play Black Adam, would have been Shazam's villain. Suddenly, The Rock pulled a power play and said, you know what? I don't really want to be in a movie with Shazam because he's like a B, C-level character. I want to be the villain up against Superman. And he starts pitching this shit to the studio and starts putting together deals behind their back, trying to bring in, he brought in Henry Cavill, who was, by all intents and purposes, done with DC, done playing Superman. And The Rock brings him back in to do a cameo as Superman in the Black Adam movie, which doesn't mention Shazam at all, but is clearly tied to Shazam if you watch the movies. And at the end, they do this big stare off between Black Adam, who's like an anti-hero, right? He's not a bad guy, but he's not a good guy either. Facing off against Henry Cavill's Superman. And that was his big pitch. And he pitched it and he wanted to just take over the whole DC studio, essentially, build it around Black Adam as one of the top guys. Similar to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Black Adam's going to be, Thanos or some shit in his mind. Well, DC didn't think so. They're like, yeah, I don't know. We're kind of, maybe, but not really. We're not feeling that. We're probably going to go a different direction. So, The Rock pulls a power play and goes over the heads of DC studios, which were in turmoil at the time. And that was part of the reason why I think Rock made a play for it, because they were looking for a new production head of the department. You know, they were going to be making some big changes over there. That's why they weren't going to be doing Henry Cavill as Superman anymore. They were going to reinvent the wheel. They were trying to compete with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They were leaning towards wanting to do their own cinematic universe, and it wasn't going to be the Snyderverse that Zack Snyder did with the Justice League and all that. They were going to do something new. Rock thought he could move in with his production company, with his star power, and take over the studio, essentially, and build it around himself and Superman and whoever else wanted to come along board. The studio didn't want to. He went above their heads. He went straight to the owner. He went to David Zaslav. He went to the head of Warner Brothers Discovery. Maybe it wasn't Zaslav at the time. It might have been the guy before him. But he went right to the head of Warner Brothers Discovery. Might not even been Warner Brothers. This might have been pre-merger. This might have just been Warner Brothers. In any event, he went over the whole DC department's head to the head of the entire studio, the head of the entire company, to pitch his fucking idea. And they still went with going with James Gunn. James Gunn directed the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's the guy that does the Peacemaker show currently with John Cena. And he is now the head of DC. And they went with his pitch. And now he's going to be doing everything. And they basically, so Rock made a power play. And now, and it didn't work out in his favor. And it left a very bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. He went over a lot of people's heads. He ignored a lot of people's power and their opinions on the whole thing, the creative. He just tried to muscle his way into it. Similarly to what he did at WrestleMania when he came in and he's just like, yeah, Cody, it was cool that Cody won the Rumble and all, but people really want to see The Rock against Roman. That's what we need. Just kind of muscle his way in and take the whole thing over. And up to the point where there were even rumors that Triple H was going to get ousted in favor of The Rock's production team with fucking Brian Gewirtz. So there's a long, long history of The Rock. Somewhere along the way, went from being Hollywood's favorite golden boy, the action star with a smiley face and dimples that could just print them money. And his movies started to bomb as well. The movies weren't doing as good at the box office. In fact, there's a lot of people that say that every time Rock comes back to WWE, it's simply to just pop his movies again, you know, go back and touch base with his original fan base and stuff, get himself seen, because he's, you know, fallen out of favor on the Hollywood side. If this continues, he is going to end up getting himself on the outskirts of the Hollywood business. He's going to have to utilize his own production studio to make his own movies because people aren't going to want to work with him anymore. He's already, you know, his production studio is part of this one that he's running up the budget on now. So he's doing this to his own studio even. And I don't know where he thinks he's going to make it up or why he thinks that he can get away with all of this. And look, I'm sure in his heart of hearts, he's not doing it to be a dick. I don't think he's out there actively like, fuck you guys, you know, I'm going to do what I want. I just think he doesn't care. You know, I think if he's running a little late, he's just like, they'll wait for me. I'm The Rock. Come on. It's my movie. They'll wait. They'll work around me. They can shoot, you know, the wall and the fucking pick up all the B-roll shots and shit. When I get there, we'll bust out my scenes, bop, 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 be done. I think that's what's going on, but the things that he's doing, he's rubbing people the wrong way, and he carried over some of that into the WWE. And people are picking up on that, and that's why The Rock got turned on by the fans in this one. It wasn't just the Cody thing. He's not drawing at the box office like he used to. He's starting to piss off a lot of people in Hollywood, starting to build a different reputation for himself than he had just a few years ago that made him the golden boy. So what do you guys think? I wanted to drop this one in your lap. I'm not seeing a lot of people cover it in wrestling, and one of the people that I am seeing covering it are kind of being dismissive of it. Like, it's just a hit piece, or like, it's just, No, this is The Rock being The Rock, I think. This is Dwayne Johnson has a history of this now, and it's worth noting. It's worth keeping an eye on. And seeing how it develops, seeing how he carries himself going forward, both in Hollywood and in WWE. And for all we know, he'll be our president someday. What do you guys think, though? Let me know your thoughts down in those comments below. Do you even care? Rock can do whatever he wants, right? He's a big megastar. Or do you agree? He's kind of getting washed up in Hollywood. Is there a reason why you don't go see his movies? Have you seen anything in his movies or his performance or the way he carries himself that makes you think less of The Rock? Do you believe the stories, or is it a hit piece, all a bunch of hogwash? Let me know your thoughts down in those comments below. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next. I can't do the eyebrow thing. I'm trying. Can you?
Let me tell you something, brother. You can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on this channel, dude. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to take your vitamins and say your prayers, brother.